Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett, and today I am going to be doing a review on the Logitech Harmony Smart Control Hub and Remotes. Now, as far as this goes, right now there's a sale going on, and as far as how long this sale is going to last, I'm not really sure. But I have a affiliate link down below if you want to buy this at any point. Feel free to click on that and buy it through that, and I will get a kickback from Amazon on that. So as far as this, what is this product and should you even really care about it? So to show you what this device does real quick. Hey Google, turn on my TV.
Sure, here's Harmony. Turning on TV.
Notice the set-top box, and then in a second or two, the TV will turn on. And this is basically what it does. You've probably seen a previous video where I showed this off. So who would get the most use out of this product? Well, it's simply those who are looking, as you saw, a smart home type of atmosphere. Now, there's more things it can do than what I just showed. That was just a small sample. I just care for it for the TV functionality. But with it having hooked up to my lighting system, or whatever other system I have, as long as it can be controlled through it, then it can actually, say for example, like say turn on my TV, and then it will lower the lights, or it will do something else on top of that, whatever I told it to do for the activity. Now, it's important to note that you have to set this up prior to, but it's a one-time setup and you're good to go. So it's pretty easy on that part. Now, the thing I want to mention though is this, where it gets its most use from is if you're using it plus a voice assistant like Google Home or Amazon Alexa. But this is where the negative part comes in. See, the thing is you can only hook up one hub per one account. Now, a way around this is have multiple accounts. So for example, with like Google Home, I can only hook up one hub to one account, but I can have multiple accounts and then have multiple hubs hooked up that way. So how this works is basically this, is it will use your phone, or you can use your computer to actually hook up your hub and configure your hub. So with this, I'm not going to go through the setup phase because it's pretty straightforward, but let's just jump into after you have it set up and you want to add more devices or play around with it. So going into the device list, what I can do is if I go to edit and then add a device, one thing to note is I already have the Hue lights bulbs hooked up to this. So I think that's the reason why it's not showing up here, but obviously it does work because, you know, I have it set up. But with this one notes, you can control multitude of lights, the August locks, which is a deadbolt lock, a smart deadbolt lock, and a few other things like thermostats and some other things. You can also control a computer, Macintosh, or Linux, and you can scan devices on the local network to see if they're controllable. Now, one thing I want to note with this is I did a scan when I first got it up and running. I did scan to see what devices were on network that could control, and it showed all my set-top boxes. I got DirecTV set-top boxes, and for those who don't know, you can actually go on to pretty much any application store, whether it be in iPhones or Androids, and there should be DirecTV applications there, or some people have made DirecTV remotes, and you can actually control the boxes through the actual network itself. As long as you're on the same network and the box has proper settings on it, you can control it, which is kind of cool. But the problem is it sees that as an entertainment box, so it says we're going to try to use IR above everything else. It's unfortunate, and if I could find a way around that, I'm definitely going to look in to make a video for that. But as it stands, if you want to control a box itself, in multiple boxes with one hub, it's probably not going to happen. It's just simply not going to happen without IR. So that's something to note. Again, if I find a way around that, then I'll definitely look into making a video on that, showing how that's done. So with that one in mind, going into the entertainment devices, this is where some cool things happen. You can actually put in your manufacturer stuff, and that way you can have it hooked up, and if it already has it in the list, then it will have all the configurations. You can edit a little bit to, say for example, with the inputs on my TV, it was a little bit off in the where things were and what was available, and I was able to fix that with no problem. But what happens if you don't have a given thing on their list? So first things first is it's going to mention that it has 225,000 devices on its list. But what happens if you don't have the given device? So if you go through, you tell what type of device. So is it a game console, a TV camera, or what exactly is it? So in this case, I'm going to say TV just because. And as you see here, I get a little bit more options into here, and then let's see. Then we get into this setting, and it's basically asking for us to train the hub itself with the remote control. We just have to have it's a remote control that puts out the proper signal, and the thing can be trained to how to do whatever it may be. So power on, power off, and stuff like that. Since I don't actually have a device to show this with, I'm just going to back out of all of that. Thing to note is after you have that set up, you can actually go ahead and add activities. So with adding an activity, basically an activity is simply this. In order to voice control something like your TVs, you're going to have to set up an activity. The activity from there, you say turn on and off my TV, and it will, let's actually go to the TV activity, and that way you can actually see it. So from there, when it starts the activity, it goes ahead and turns on the TV, then it turns on the DirecTV box, then it makes sure that the TV is on HDMI 2. And how it does is basically you tell it where your inputs are, and it figures out, it assumes that you're not changing the inputs, and that way, if say for example, if I go into Chromecast, it's on a different input, and if I tell it, hey, go to Chromecast, then the TV goes off, and I say turn on TV, it'll automatically try to switch the HDMI to the right port. Note I could put a delay in there if need be and stuff like that. But then you can say what the starting channel is. So for me, I say science channel. And what happens is basically after the TVs turn on, after the DirecTV box turn on, and after it knows the TV is on the right input, it actually goes to the actual particular channel I want it to go to. So from there, and you can do it in solution, you can do customized remote. So for example, I could say select something, and it will actually cause it to do something else. You do schedules and a few other things. So that's something to note into itself. And also thing to note is you can add favorite channels and stuff like that through the actual application. And that way I can say turn on Bloomberg, turn on Science Channel, turn on National Geographic, and it will automatically go to those if those are on my favorite list. Note that a way around this is, and this is what I personally use, because a favorite list has a limited to 50 devices, 50 channels. And a way around that is simply by having on like Google Home, you can use what's called shortcuts, and that way you'd say, for me, I tell it Science Channel, and then the thing automatically turns on Science Channel by the commands. The Google Home knows what commands I'm really meaning based on the shortcut. I'm assuming that you already know how to use a shortcut functionality. And I might make a video on that later on, just whenever. But anyways, as far as that goes, that's pretty much it for the application. So as far as the hub itself, it's pretty dead simple. So basically, this is the brains of the operation. This is where all the information is stored. And what happens here is it itself connects to the network. Obviously, it has the ability to be powered, obviously, but you might see 2 ports on the back, and that is for the IR blasters. What is an IR blaster? An IR blaster is just basically a long cable with IR blaster on end. The IR blaster controls infrared devices. It sends out an IR signal. Now, as far as that goes, you might say, well, 2 ports means 1 IR blaster per device. No, it's just basically 1 IR blaster can control how many devices you want. All it's doing is send out signal. The 2 is just meant for a weird setup some people have, or it is technically possible to, if you buy a second cable, keep in mind this only comes with 1 IR blaster. If you buy a second cable and it's very, 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 very long, you can actually lay it out and it controls a TV in another room if you set it up right. Thing to note with this, however, is from doing a quick Google search, only 1 remote can control a hub. So with that, that's something that you might want to note. However, note with phones, as long as it's connected and whatever, good to go. Now with that, as far as the remote itself, it's pretty dead simple. The remote is RF, or radio frequency. It's not using IR, which just basically means that as long as the hub can see the remote by radio frequencies, so it could be in a different room for all it cares, well, it can control it. So that's something to note into itself. Now, as far as the remotes, you can recharge it through a micro USB. At the very bottom of it, the remote is reported to be lasting in most cases about a year and a half. Some people are reporting you up to 2 years. So that's something to note. It's really depending on how much you use it. And as far as the remotes, it has no backlights, but with that one, most remotes still don't nowadays. And as far as the buttons at the very top, this is the only thing that might confuse some people. The buttons on the top for off, this turns off your last activity. So note what I said earlier when in the application. In the gray buttons at the top, they are your activities. You can select whatever activity for whatever button, but the thing to note is they are your activities, and when you press off, it turns off that given activity. So just keep that one in mind. And another thing to note is within the application itself, you can actually set the buttons itself on a remote to do something else. So that's something kind of cool whenever you're playing around with this. Now, as far as that goes, if you got any questions on this or anything else, then feel free to let me know, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. And with that one in mind, if you like this, then feel free to check out the affiliate link, and if you buy it through that, then I will get a little bit of kickback from that. But otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and let me know what you want me to review in the future, and I'll take a look at that. I'll see you next video. Hope you have a great day.